you have 60 properties by age 29, I think you're full of crap. That's what lots of people are thinking. How many freaking people on the internet saying, I have 50 properties, I have 100 properties, and they can just get on a whiteboard but not show anything for it, right?
100%. Like you hear these really big headline stories and they're like, there's no way it's true. I love the idea of being accountable and showing people how many there actually are and how they're broken up.
Yeah, so what we're going to do in this episode is unpack some of this portfolio of yours, which is 60 by 29 years old, and dive into like what is made up of that 60, how you count that up, and maybe how you can fund it, because there's a lot of properties to hold if you're thinking about holding properties. Yeah.
It can be expensive though. I was just very fortunate. I got to start pretty early. I got pretty aggressive, I would say, at the right time. I think being in the industry helps definitely. Being able to find the right deals at the right time, all of it plays a part, but it can be expensive definitely. I've had my times where I've like been scrounging for like coins in between the couches.
Yeah.
So yeah, like to make it up. Like I remember even, mate, people go, you got so many properties, you must be loaded. And I'm like, mate, there were times where I was like $500 in my account.
Yeah.
I was saying to my wife, I'm like, yeah, please don't use the card much this week. Yeah, I don't want it to decline when you get.
Yeah, there's a 5 buck note I remember leaving in my hat.
There's a piper there. Yeah.
What we're going to do is, Prince Ali, you have a laptop there. It's got your portfolio and it's some of the breakdown. Take us through some of what number is and how you actually unpack it.
Yeah. So the portfolio here is broken down into the 39 or so properties that I own. But with the 39, so many of them are duplexes and blocks of units. That's where the number starts to get a lot higher.
So that's really important for people to know, because sometimes 1 equals 2 and 1 equals 3.
Yeah, sometimes 1 can equal 9.
Yeah. So that's really important for people on the internet that you say, I've got 100. It might be made up of lots of those 1 is 9.
For example, yeah, duplex could be like 2, or like a block of units could be 1 to be 24.
Yeah.
You know, I know some people count, a house and a granny flat as 2 properties because there's like 2 tenants living in there. So each person counts the number as different, which is why getting on the whiteboard and actually showing people, some people look at this and say, oh, okay, now it makes more sense. Like I used to think, must have had 60 properties. I have friends that ask me, like, now that I'm a bit more on social media, how do you actually own 60 houses, 60 individual houses? Like, no, I don't own that many. You just count it as different. So people do count properties completely different.
So how are we counting them, do you reckon, today?
I'm going to count them as, if I can split them up and they can be individually sold off, then I'll count them as individual properties. Okay, so I won't count, for example, the houses and granny flats. I won't count them as 2. I just count them as 1, because I can't actually separate them and sell them individually.
Okay, that's good definition. Take us through a little bit of this portfolio so people don't know you're full of shit.
Yeah, okay. So, well, this is pretty much the portfolio. So I kind of go through some of the properties here. So I guess there's quite a bit to go through, but, South Australia is the first one. Then I've got a block of 3, which is in Armidale, Western Australia. I've got a duplex in Queensland, dual key in Queensland, another dual key in Queensland.
I love Queensland.
Yeah. I do. I was a bit of a fan of Queensland, so I go for the Maroons.
Oh, jeez.
A block of 3 triplex. A triplex, there's 3 that I built. A property which is 9 Marina Court. That's going to be a duplex. A property in Victoria. One side of a duplex, I count an individual house.
Just so people know, those empty boxes are not the new house on Man, right?
Correct. This is correct. So Yarra Bilba, which is completed a year ago, it's 3 properties that's completely built, but that was new house and land. The next one, Marina Court, that is new house and land. Ocean Grove, also new house and land. Davron Park, another property, established Aldinga. We did a small subdivision. I kept the property there. Logan Reserve, another house and land. 1 to 7 New Street in Dandenong, that's a block of units, block of villas, single story, that's 7. 6 Ibis, that's going to be a construction of a duplex under construction. Then there's another house in Queensland in Harvey Bay, established property in Murray Bridge, established property in Chermside, which is in Queensland. A house and land, one of the first ones I bought in New South Wales. My only property outside of my mum's home, my principal place of residence, was a property in Riverwood. I did that quite a long time ago.
So everyone watching this, I mean, there's so much to go into. It would be here for hours going through each individual thing. People think, how much this costs and all that. But at the end of the day, it looks like there's a fair mix between established and new house and land.
Yeah, even right now, it's probably, I was thinking about it the other day and it was kind of even tipping more towards like new than established. And the reason for that was at the same time, like, there were times where I was growing my business and I was just, not up to date with like, wouldn't be able to get finance, like tax returns. So I wasn't be able to, how it is being its owner. So I was like, I was like, shit, what do? I still want to be in the market. So I was like, okay, I started just buying unregistered blocks of land in different areas. So like you can choose specific locations and buy land there that wasn't ready for like 12 months away.
So it gives you a bit of time.
Yeah. And in this market, like regardless of the strategy that people talk about, that's what has actually helped me so much. Like I'd buy a block of land and did this, I would say over like 10 times minimum, genuinely, where I buy a block of land and
For chips.
Like,
much, right?
Mate, like, yeah, obviously money, but yeah, absolutely. When you take into extent what they're worth, I'm talking about, I would buy a $200,000 block of land, that would be worth 350 in 12 months time. So I'd like make 50%, sometimes 60% on a block of land, because I buy in an early stage, I put like 5% down.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the cash to required.
Yeah, like sometimes 5% down on that 200K block of land in Whitby, which you'll see is right now $1 million property renting for $1,100 a week. It started off with a $10,000 deposit on a $198,000 block of land. Like you don't need these millions to start. Like you seriously, like we're talking about really small numbers. So to answer your question, most of it now is house and land. Most of it has been house and land, especially because with house and land, you can buy and get very, very fortunate by buying and then building multiple dwellings. So I get to turn one block of land into a duplex. So I get 2 properties, or one block of land into a triplex. I get 3 properties. I did that. That's kind of what has actually jumped my portfolio up. For example, a block of land in Joyner, that's a duplex under construction. Then I've got 4 and 6 Worthington. That's in Elizabeth East. Which I'm actually knocking down and building 4 now. So that would be 4 instead of 2, but they're a duplex side by side. Established property, Whitby is, Leader is an established property in Perth. Jewel Key, bought brand new. Every Jewel Key is pretty much bought land and built a Jewel Key. No, it's so expensive to buy, but a lot cheaper to buy land and build. Yeah, a lot better. So Lakelands, which is a Jewel Key, Whitby, which is a Jewel Key, Elizabeth Downs, they're 2 established properties, duplex again.
There's so many people are like, I can't keep up.
Yeah. So
it shows me, like, from a face value, you're more transparent than 99% of people on the internet who are proclaiming, hey, you should invest in property with us. I think you live what you preach. So what's really interesting about this is that the ratio and how what makes up the 60. To break it down, how about you hop on the whiteboard and point out how the 60 is broken down for us, bro?
Absolutely. Thank you.
So again, a lot of people just think you claim to have 60 properties, but you could be full of shit. So let's have a look at this.
All right, cool. So start off into houses, Jewel Keys, duplexes and triplexes and blocks of units. So everyone can, it's easy to break it down, much easier. For example, if we break down houses, I've got 5 houses in Queensland, 3 houses in South Australia, 1 house in Perth, 1 house in Victoria, 2 houses in Sydney, 1 being the first investment that I bought, 2nd being my mum's home, which is actually a dual occupancy property. It's a house with a detached grey flat, but we keep that as a single house because I really am just using it for one purpose. So total, there's 12 houses. Yeah. With the Jewel Keys, I've got 2 of them in Queensland, which I bought land and built, and I bought 3 of them in Perth. Again, bought land and then built. Okay. With duplexes, I have 7 duplexes in Queensland. 6 of them were land and construction, and which pretty much will be 14 homes.
So where 1 is 2.
Correct. 1 is 2. Yeah. So 1 is 2 here. One of them was an established duplex that I did buy as well. Then in Adelaide, 3 duplexes. So 1 is 2, but all 3 of them were established properties. So 100% of them were established properties. Again, something to consider is that in every single state and every single market, sometimes it's better to buy established and sometimes it's better to buy new. And that's the understanding the market is so important. Then we have Queensland. So Queensland, I got one triplex. So that's where one is into three. That was a brand new land and build package. And I also have 1 into 3 in Western Australia, right? And that was bought established.
Okay, well, interesting.
Yeah. In total, if we look at duplexes being 2 and obviously the triplex being 3, there's currently 26 properties in duplexes. And they're my favorite.
Yeah, I could tell.
And then it's now thinking of it, we'll go into the blocks of units. So blocks of units is really where the number starts to really blow up. And that's where a lot of people have this think of like so many. You have so many properties. Like, how do you buy so many? So we're talking almost over 60 properties. It's like a lot of time buying these properties. Right? And how you do this is you buy blocks of units. And that's what I've started to do most recently because of my portfolio growth. And it allows me to expand my portfolio without having to do, 9 or 10 different individual purchases. So my most recent is a block of Queensland that is 1 but 9 units. They're currently on one title, but can be strata titled into 9 individual titles. One in Victoria, that's currently 7 units, can be strata titled into 7 individual. And then I just settled recently 1 in New South Wales, which is 1 into 6. So it's 6 villas side by side, which I'm in the process right now of strata titling. In total, there's 21. All of these were established properties. Yeah. It's a lot harder to buy land and then construct a block of units. These are all single level units. They're all 1960 build. So it was a lot easier to buy them. And that's the strategy, was buying a block of units, which was what we call below replacement cost. Like, to buy these blocks, it probably cost me more just to build them alone.
Yeah.
So that's in total 21 properties. 21 tenants, 21 properties.
So overall, it's actually over 60. You actually have about 64 properties by 29 years old.
Yeah. So when I count them all up, it's 64 properties, and it counts as well as around 69 tenants.
69 tenants by 29 years old. Some people will be thinking, scratching their head going, fuck, Ali, like, how do you afford the mortgages? Like, some people who are just in that category of houses over there, it's costing them a fortune, especially with negative gearing being taken out now. So how do you afford to hold all this debt?
I bought them early. I'm not going to say I bought them early, and I bought quite a lot of property at just, I guess, during that COVID boom. So I'm very fortunate in that sense to have bought that.
That's real honest. It's good.
Yeah. So I have bought them early, but then I have started to shift in recent purchases to buying really high cash flow assets. So once you go past, like, houses were what I needed to start because they gave me the kind of the growth that I required. And then I moved into dual keys, and that's probably the highest cash flow asset because you get one title where it's one set of council rate, one set of water rates, but you got 2 tenants, essentially a house and a granny flat. So they're very easy to afford.
Yeah, you get how much on $1 million property?
So right now you can still buy a $1 million dual key and get $1,200 a week in rent. So, with a 10 or 20% deposit, you pretty much are cash flow positive. So you can still buy cash flow positive assets now. They just don't come in the traditional form of like houses that you could probably do ages ago. Like, I started buying property back in 2016. You could buy a house in Queensland for $310,000 and it was renting at $360,000. Can't do that today. But you can still buy dual keys at $1 million renting at $1,200. So you can still do that. So you can still find cash flow positive properties. It's just not as easy to find as it once was. But yeah, dual keys, they got really high cash flow. Then I move over to duplexes and triplexes. Again, when you buy something that is a 1 into 3 or a 1 into 2, you are essentially buying, like, you're maximizing the land size and you're putting 2 dwellings on there, meaning you're getting 2 sets or sometimes 3 sets of rental income on one particular block of land. These things help with cash flow, right? Because you're getting 3 rental incomes. It's just easier to maintain and hold. They're not as cash flow positive as, say, the dual keys, but what I love about duplexes is you really get major manufactured equity growth. You go from one block of land and essentially create 2 separate properties, and because you're creating 2 separate and you're creating more supply, you're able to go and sell it to, I guess, more you open it because you take a location that might cost $1 million to buy a house, where you can go and create, for example, a duplex, so average numbers, for example, where an area would be $1 million to buy a house, I bought a duplex for 1.2. So that's 600,000 each, meaning it's very easy to have those properties sell at 750,000 because they're well below the median. But just because I'm creating more supply, I'm able to get that manufactured equity.
Yeah. So you get manufactured equity with the duplex trials.
Absolutely.
And you get the really good cash flow from the dual keys.
Absolutely. Some of the dual keys allowed me to hold some of my properties.
Bingo. So a lot of people will be thinking just with houses alone, mate, I've got a mate who's a well-known guy. He had like bought a monopoly on his family street for 12 properties. Oh, mate, it cost me fucking $8,000 a month. It's the whole. I'm like, yeah, it's tough. Yeah. So would you say some of the dual key cash positive stuff would help fund?
Absolutely. I remember, for example, one of my third or fourth property. It's a property in Chermside, Brisbane. Chermside, Brisbane's a pretty nice area. It's 10 k's from Brisbane CBD. I bought an old, pretty rundown house for like $450, $450K, right? But the rental on it was pretty low. It was only like $360 a week. So I was like, shit. It was my first negatively geared kind of property, right, at the time. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to hold this? So I started to hold it, negative gearing. Then I went and bought a dual key in Caboolture. Mate, I bought that total land and house for like, I think it was at $485,000. At the time, it was renting for $650 a week. So I was like, okay, now when I combine them, I'm still making really good rent. The rent from the dual key helped me cover the house that was in Chermside.
Yes,
absolutely. It 100% did. And I kind of kept that philosophy going. Now, I kept trying to find houses that had really good cash flow, but it was like, for me, it made me maybe able to hold the single residential home. That was a really good growth strategy, but it allowed me to hold it because I had the extra cash flow coming in.
Yeah. So that answers a big question for a lot of people. Well, you said that you ranted in the car about that.
Yeah, people think that, they buy a house for, say, $1.5 million in Sydney and they rent it out for, $900 a week. And then a year later, they sell it for $1.7 million. Call it $200,000. It's like, you haven't made $200,000 because the property cost you $60,000 a year just to hold it. So it's like, excluding stamp duty, it's like you said $200,000, but it actually cost you $60,000. That's why I think it's absolutely crazy. You're starting off $60,000 in the red. You need the property to appreciate by $60,000 every single year just to break even. People get like confused. They're like, oh, but Ali, my property went up $100,000 a month. But if it cost you $50,000, how much did you actually make? Well, I made $50,000. I'm like, is $50,000 a lot of money on spending $1.6 million? No, it's not. It really isn't. It's like, you got to get outside of that headspace because think about how much it actually does cost you. And now with no negative gearing, the benefit of those properties has really gone down the drain, in my opinion. I think we're going to start to see a very, it's going to be a pullback in that market because people that could negative gear their assets that were able to hold them are now no longer going to want to hold it. And it's too expensive.
Yeah.
And then blocks of units. Now, blocks of units are for me an absolute holy grail. Like that's where everybody gets to a point where if you haven't transitioned into commercial, blocks of units is probably the next best bet, right? And for me, I love blocks of units even better than commercial. Right now, I have 0 commercial assets. You can kind of consider blocks of units. I have to do commercial lending for it, but I kind of have a mixture between them. And why I say that the holy grail is because of there's so many benefits in exit strategy. When you buy a block of units, as an example, right? You can buy a block of units. You have usually quite a good land component. So for example, the one in Victoria, I can go up 3 stories. I can add 24 units if I actually want to, right? So you can have a lot of development potential because you get really big blocks of land. Second is manufactured equity growth. Like you can really, especially with my strategy, which is strata titling them. Once you strata title them, they are going to appreciate so much more. As an example, Wagga, this is the one I bought in Wagga. It was $1.8 million. I bought it for around $300,000 per unit.
Yeah.
Now I know that I can strata title the property. It'll cost me around $5,000 to $10,000 per pop. And next door, literally in the same street, they've already strata titled them, and a unit sold for $385,000. Now, if I make $80,000 and then times that by 6, I'm already up almost $500,000. right? Then the third thing is cash flow. Like cash flow, baby. Yeah, that's where the cash flow really comes in. And why I like them is you don't just, usually you get really good rents because they're like villas or like units. So usually have higher yield, but also you can manufacture that yield as well, right? So like, for example, I would renovate them, make it nice and tidy, add ACs, like especially do things like with these units that most people don't take care of, but go and take care of them. Add couple, 5 or 10 grand, like AC, paint it, even sometimes redo the kitchen. Doesn't cost a lot, but man, it can really grow that rental return. And you can rents can increase, but it's because you've done the work. It's not like you're just jacking up the rents. You're putting money to being spent. Most of them aren't really done up. So once you increase the rent on an asset, very similar to a commercial asset, your capitalization rate or your cap rate increases the value. As an example, with Victoria, I bought a block of units for 2.28 million. It was rented for around 140,000 140K a year, but it was severely under rented. Re-renting those properties, and just there were long leases. I did a little bit of work to the properties. I increased that rent from 140 grand to roughly around 165,000. Yeah, right. Because it was over 7 units, so it was like a $40-$50 increase per unit. They were quite under rented, and that increases the value of an asset because an investor, like a commercial asset, will buy the property based on how much rent it's bringing in.
Yeah. So what I'm getting at to what people are hearing, what I'm hearing is blocks of unit is you're at that equity stage or that option where you could almost go into, you've got enough capital for commercial in some senses, but going to this area that you've chosen to do units, residential is a lot different rules. Lending's a bit more easier in a lot of ways. So it's almost like blocks. So you want to get blocks of units, you have to get to that certain stage to be able to have that certain amount of entry level, right?
And if it kind of is almost like, if I was to create a pathway, it kind of be like this. You go to houses, then to dual keys, then to a duplex, then to a triplex, then to blocks of units is kind of that end goal. And it's like really wealthy. If you look at like the old man that's really wealthy, it's always that they've held these blocks of units in families for generations. And that's my plan. Hold these assets for like generations, and especially the blocks of units, like you hold them wherever and you kind of just keep acquiring them. Yeah. It's a lot easier as well. Like I'm managing 3 properties and I manage pretty much 21 tenants and 21 properties, as opposed to like managing 12 individual houses. And that's
a quick answer here, but like, how many structures did you need to be able to hold 64 of these?
So start off with personal name, and then across the other, across the 60 properties, it's 7 different individual trusts.
Yeah. So how many in your personal name? 5?
So there's 5 in my personal name.
Yep. And then the rest were in 7 trusts.
Correct.
Yeah, so that's really good for people to understand too. It's like, oh, how do I? Because people talk about borrowing capacity and be capped out. And on a rule of thumb, for example, when do you get capped out for a trust, or when do you jump across?
So capped out for the trust is kind of whatever your borrowing capacity is. You don't want to go above that particular capacity. So let's just say your borrowing capacity is say $2 million. I would usually always cap your borrowing capacity in a specific trust at like $1.5 million. Keep yourself a bit of room. Because when you want to go back and access that particular equity in that trust, you want to make sure you've got equity available. So if you buy a property and you have a trust and you're already at $2 million, if you want to come back and take up more equity and you're going to go above $2 million in debt, it's going to be very hard.
Yeah.
So keep it at like 25-30% of your total borrowing capacity.
What do we got? We got the Trinity.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got established houses which we source every single day, which are perfect investments to start off with. We've got dual keys, both established and brand new. Maybe we specialize in buying land and building dual keys. Then we've got the duplex strategy, and that's buying established duplexes and also buying brand new duplexes, which is what I'm a massive fan of. And then we've started to buy blocks of units.
So is everyone up against you then? Are you competition with Ice Club?
No. I'm slowly. I'll keep buying properties genuinely, but I think for me, I was having a conversation about this. It's like, how many properties does it take to actually kind of make someone happy? Like the truth of it is, for me, properties are the fact that make me happy. I haven't gone to half of these properties. All of this was all about creating more security for my family, and I'm planning to have my own family. and I think about, the security that I want to provide for them. So for me, now you won't be in competition with me. I think there's so many properties that I look at every day and I would buy this, but I think about the client who has actually signed up, has paid us our service and he's been waiting. I'm like, it's got to go to him first.
Yeah.
But if they say no, I'm right behind them.
Yeah. If you're going to take it.
Yeah, and you're going to take it, I'll be there. But again, not a lot of people right now, if you're at this level, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But it takes a bit of time to get to this point. Like anything in life, you don't just go from, I want to buy my first property and I want to go buy a block of 9.
Yeah, you don't just go from Kenny to year 12.
No.
But the cool thing is with the bulk buying, you could actually buy one of those 9.
Yep.
So you guys are going, we've got a wait list. Our members, we offer this to you first. And, if there is, say, a 1 = 9, you could be one of those 9, right?
Absolutely. So bulk buying could be in actually so many forms, but definitely we're buying these blocks of units right now where we're buying them at a bulk price, right? And what we're getting 9 individual titles. And what we can do is actually buy them from 9 individual clients. So instead of trying to buy the whole thing yourself, you can actually just go in, still get one of those units severely below market value, but able to do it with a group of individual people.
It still acts the same way, right? Good cash flow,
good growth, good capital growth. Everything is the same.
Yeah, mate. Count me in, Harrison.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool. Well, that's an awesome overview of someone who says they has 60 properties. They're under 30 years old. You've whacked open the laptop. It's more transparent than anyone. It's shown real things. And the most interesting to me and everyone is just the mix between new land and established. And I think the future right now with this economy and the things that have been stripped away from us, you really need to lean on like someone who's done it before. Like honest to God, like you got to go to someone who's been to Mount Everest, who want to climb Mount Everest so that they can go this way, don't go this way, or you'll die. Because if you've got to go, okay, I'm open to new land. Well, you might actually say, Matt, don't get that, get established.
Absolutely.
It can't just have this blanket thing of,
no.
And that's what, you look at your portfolio and you said that actually these ones were established and these ones were new.
And that's the idea, right? Like people are out there right now talking about only new or only established. And mate, they're both selling their own skill set and what they can buy. And I've said this very publicly. People don't want to buy new because they don't know how to make money in new. Truthfully, right? When you know how to make money in new and when you know how to make money in established and how to buy those assets, why wouldn't you buy both? Why would you put yourself in a box where you're not able to make $200,000 or $300,000 off a brand new duplex build? Why would you stop yourself from that? But at the same time, don't just listen to somebody that all they do is brand new, because they might be selling, like they might not be able to simply provide you with something that will be good for you. They cannot provide you with, if what's best for your strategy is an established property, Matt, but I only do brand new. Most people in this world are not going to say, hey, Matt, I actually cannot help you. They're going to tell you why what they have is the best thing for you, but it's not the truth. I've always believed in look at an overall strategy, and I've always loved that we can provide that service to everyone. And we have teams and people dedicated to sourcing in individual like strategies in specific areas. And that's the point of it. Real advice for real people.
Yeah, 100%. So people are probably thinking, to finish off, how much do I need to start to get in with you guys? And it's not as much as people think.
No. It's not as much as people think. With $70,000, you can get yourself into a property today, right? You can actually get yourself into a property with less, given you're able to save certain amount.
We generally say, Buyers Club, I think for the new land, it's good to have about 100K.
Yeah.
With everything packed inside it, right?
Yeah.
And about 120 for houses for established.
Correct. So around $100,000 for a brand new house and land package, and around $120,000 in either savings or equity for an established property.
No, thanks, man. This is great. Congratulations. 60 properties by 29, and who knows what happens when you turn 30, man. I'm on 600 properties by now, how did people add extra zeros?
No, not that many. Thank you.
For years, Buyers Club has been the only buyers agency helping everyday Aussies invest across 3 different ways, and we call it the Buyers Club Trinity: established properties, new land and build, and bulk buying. In this economy, you've got way more options than you think to get into the market and set your family up for life. But many buyers agencies can only offer you one option. Our promise is we'll find your property within 45 days, guaranteed. Investing in property is personal to us, and we invest for our family's future. So if you've got 120K in savings or equity, you can build a property portfolio. Head to buyersclub.com.au and book a free strategy call today.